Morning, everybody. Great to see you all. Welcome to Unity of Phoenix. Welcome. My name is Richard Maraj. I'm the senior minister here. And welcome to our Sunday worship celebration. We have two intentions every Sunday, and that is that you have a deep and profound experience of God. So everyone just take a deep breath and just set aside whatever is worrying you to open your heart to allow God to touch you in a profound and meaningful way. And then the second intention is that you feel a great sense of connection and community. The fact is, while, there are two ministers up here, the fact is we all are making this experience of God. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been coming for years, your presence makes a difference, and we're so glad you're here. So right now, I want you to turn to the person left and right, look them in the eye and say, I'm glad you're here today. Your presence makes a difference. I'm glad you're here today, man. Your presence makes a difference.
I'm glad you're here today because your presence makes a lot of difference.
Amen. Todd, I'm glad you're here today. Your presence makes a difference.
And likewise,
Gretzky, I'm glad you're here today. Your presence makes
Are you okay?
Michael.
All right.
All right, before you get too carried away, let's open the service
Yeah,
up.
it's like, enough of that warm and fuzzy stuff. Let's get on with this.
Let's get down to business here. Let's take our mission statement together.
Unity of Phoenix is a loving spiritual community that welcomes all people and honors all paths to God. We are dedicated to transforming lives by inspiring and awakening individuals to discover God's Spirit within them.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
So I invite you to take just a few moments to allow the impact of those words to sink into your consciousness. And now I invite you to take a deep, refreshing breath and just sit back in your seat and get comfortable and let go of any tightness or any tension, any concerns that you might have, or any activities that you might have planned for today, and just allow yourself to be fully present to the current moment. In every moment that is and every moment that has ever been, the presence and power of God has always been present. It's been true in the past, it's true in the present, and it will always be true. So from that foundation, we open this time of prayer and meditation, knowing that we are surrounded by God's presence and God's power, that it is within us and it is all around us. Knowing further that that presence and power is always guiding us and instructing us as to what our next moves are. And more importantly, it's instructing us to remember in what image we are made. So for the next few moments, as we enter into a time of quietness and a time of rest and a time of opening ourselves up to all the good that the universe has in store for us, I just want to invite you to be still. And as the scripture says, and know. Be still and know. Today, as we consider all the possibilities that are before us, let us do so in the awareness that we are never alone, in the awareness that there is always a spirit that is leading us and guiding us toward our highest good. And for whatever our search is, for healing, for change, for transformation, for a new direction, it is always in front of us. So we go forward with faith and with anticipation and with hope in the name and through the nature of the living Christ. And so it is. Amen.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So how many people here have an area in your life that isn't going as well as you'd like and you'd like to improve or get better than it currently is? Anybody like it? How many people have someone in your life that irritates you, annoys you, frustrates you so much, and you'd really like to find a way to interact with them with more peace and harmony? Some really high hands in the back. Okay. And how many people have an overall desire that your life be happier, healthier, and more successful? Anybody have that desire? You know, every one of us wants a better life. And regardless of the form that it comes in, whether it's to increase our income, or if it's to have more love and intimacy in our relationships, or if it's to heal a family conflict, or if it's to feel a greater sense of inner peace and a greater connection with God, everyone wants a better life. We all do. But the real question is, how do we do it? How do we improve our lives? How do we make our situations better? And immediately we'll think, well, make up a plan and go to work. Put the effort in. Do what you need. Fight for the change. Use your will and determination to transform and make your life better. Make it different than it currently is. And that, seems totally logical. It makes total sense. It's something we'd all agree, and we probably think immediately that's the best way. Might even think it's the only way. However, how many people here have ever worked really hard and really, really hard on making things better in your life, and things didn't improve as well as you wanted? Anybody ever have that happen? And there is a reason, because there is something else that supports, in addition to working and changing and trying, that really, really helps transform and is an important part. But it's something we often miss because we misunderstand this concept. But it's a vital and crucial aspect to improving our happiness and our level of success. And this other power and practice is the power of acceptance. And I can tell by the level of deep underwhelmment and how unimpressed you are that you really don't buy that. And I can understand and see why. Because fighting for change seems powerful. It seems aggressive. It seems empowering. It feels determined and motivated. It feels like you've got a drive to thrive and achieve and make your life better. It sounds very strong, proactive. And to accept what is sounds soft. It sounds like we're giving up. It sounds like we really don't want our lives to get better. We'll just take whatever life gives us. We feel like it feels like we're resigned and not really trying at all. It feels like we're weak and passive, that we're soft. These two things seem so opposite, it feels counterintuitive to say that they're both an important part of making our lives happier and more successful. And yet, I would tell you, while they seem opposite and contrary, they are actually more complementary than you realize. Let me give an example. Inhaling and exhaling are two opposite practices. And if you see them separately, you think they're absolutely opposite. And one is about acquiring, one's about releasing. And yet these two opposite and seeming contrary practices are two aspects of one very important aspect, which is called breathing. Inhaling and exhaling, two opposites, are a part of a whole called breathing that are necessary and vital to be alive, to feel energized. You need both. Similarly, fighting for change and working for change and accepting what is are two different aspects of one whole of what it takes to live and to be happy, to progress, to improve, and to be successful in our lives. Sigmund Freud was a father of psychoanalysis, and he said some things. Was he? Oh, okay. Pardon me? Psychoanalysis, sorry. What did I say? Oh, psycho. Right, sorry. Can see where my mind is. And he said some things I think were very clever and serious and kind of funny, but profound. One of them he said is sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And meaning that sometimes we just add a whole bunch of stuff, and sometimes something is just what it is. And the second one that I want to focus on, he said the purpose of psychoanalysis, is that correct? Okay. Is to transform neurotic misery into common unhappiness. Now, while the comment seems a little bit offhanded and cynical, and it feels like it's reflecting his pessimism about the human condition, there is something deeper that he's saying here. And what he is saying is a part of changing and transforming and improving your life isn't just working on things. It's also about accepting how things are. That acceptance can profoundly change our experience and our energy and our perspective about life. And it in and of itself can actually make life better when we just accept how things are. M. Scott Peck in the book, The Road Less Traveled, said life is difficult. And once we understand that and accept it, life becomes less difficult. We have this unrealistic expectation that life should always go our way. How many people's life always goes their way? Anybody have that happen? And yet, we know it's not true, yet every time life doesn't go our way, we get upset. We fight against it, we get frustrated, and we get irritated. We set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, and unhappiness by always expecting that life will go great. Jesus said, in this life there will be trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer. What are you saying? Life's going to be tough, but just relax. Accept that that's how it is, because when you do, there are good ways to make it better. There are ways to be cheerful. There are ways to be positive and for your life to improve. The last 3 weeks, we've been doing a series called The Paradox of Life and trying to figure out how do you balance all the opposing and contradictory things, particularly some contradictory and opposing and paradoxical philosophies of how to live life. Week 1 was know yourself, forget yourself. Last week was be confident and question everything. And today we're going to look at fight for change, accept what is. Let's talk about fighting for change. One of my favorite authors is George Bernard Shaw. And I love George Bernard Shaw. Interesting thing is he was the only person ever to win a Nobel Prize for Literature, which he did in 1952, and win an Academy Award, which he did in 1938 for his screenplay of a book he called Pygmalion, which was made into a movie called My Fair Lady, which, interesting, was about transformation, about changing and making something better. Interestingly, he just lived an amazing life, really, really amazing life. You know, unfortunately, anybody know how he died? He fell off a ladder while trimming his apple tree, and he died of the injuries. He fell off his ladder at 94 while trimming his apple tree. And he said things like, some people look at life and say, why? And some people look at life as the way it could be and say, why not? So here is the quote I want to read you. He said, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, they make them. If we want to improve our lives, that's one of the key things right there. Every one of us has the power to create and to improve and to achieve and to make the circumstances that we want. And when Mark Lester talks about fight for change, he said really what fight for change means is there's an impulse for us to grow. There is something that is leading us to progress, that is leading us to improve, to get better, to be more successful, to be more abundant, to be more loving and happy. There is something in us that it's innately in us that drives us. I love what it says in the Talmud. It says that every blade of grass has an angel that bends over it and whispers to it, grow, grow. And there's something in every one of us, a spirit that says grow, expand, achieve, learn, progress, experience and express more life. And God has implanted the powers in us, the power of the mind, the imagination, the power of the spoken word to affirm, the focus, the intention, and the actions we can take. We have the resources to change our lives, to transform it, and to make it better. Roz Savage took a personal development and personal growth course when she was 33 years old. And in it, they had an exercise where you had to write 2 eulogies for yourself. One based on how your current life was growing and the trajectory of how your life would go if you kept living it the way you did. And then the second one is the life you would like to live if you did what you wanted to do, regardless of the money or regardless of thing, if you could do whatever you wanted, what would your life look like? And what would people say about what you did and achieved and who you were if you lived life totally on your terms and the way you wanted it? In her little course of doing this exercise, she realized that she wasn't living the life she wanted. She wasn't doing what she wanted. She was playing small, that she was settling in certain areas. So she wrote down what she really wanted. And among one of the greatest things in what her writing thing is, she realized that she wanted to become the first woman to row across the Atlantic Ocean. She made the change in her life. And 6 months later from that class, Roz Savage became the first woman to ever single-handedly row across the Atlantic Ocean. And the thing I like about that exercise is that it helped her get clear about what she wanted. It helped her get clear about the life she wanted to live, the changes she wanted to make, the things that she wanted to achieve, the person she wanted to become. Every one of us has the power to change, but sometimes we aren't always clear about what it is we want. How many people know exactly what you want and what you'd like to achieve and create? Okay, about 7 or 8. That's fabulous. How many people here know it would behoove you to take time to get clear, to ask yourself what you want, who you want to be, and to get clear on what you desire? How many people would agree with that? Every one of us. And the fact is, every one of us has the power and resources, but we don't always take the time to get clear and know what it is we actually want. What do you want to do that you're not doing right now? What do you want to feel that you aren't feeling? What do you want to create? What difference do you want to make? What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of qualities do you want to be known and remembered for? Getting a level of clarity of who you are, what you want, and where you want to go is one of the most powerful things and resources we can use to change our lives and make it better. And besides getting clear about what we want, the second thing is to have the courage to go and actually do it. And sometimes even when we know what we want, sometimes we're afraid to do it. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was an associate minister. We had a little unity meeting of new members or something, and everyone had to give something that they really wanted to do. When my turn came around, I said, I really want to go skydiving. I've never been skydiving. Said it proudly. I meant it. And then right after the meeting, 1 minute after the meeting, somebody came up to me and said, I am the captain of the U.S. skydiving team. I could take you skydiving tomorrow. And I said, no, tomorrow? No, tomorrow. I'm busy tomorrow. I got some stuff. How many people here have ever known what you wanted, but you allowed fear to stop you from doing it? It is amazing. And the excuses we come up with. I have family responsibilities. I have money. Too busy. It took me a whole year to get the courage to overcome the fear, to do something I was clear that I wanted. Roz Savage had to make some choices. She had to let go of some things, find some new ways to get financial support, to do the training, to do the things she wanted to do. It takes work, it takes effort, and yes, sometimes it's scary. It's terrifying to step into those areas. I ask you, what is one change or one step you'd be willing to make? What is one action you'd be willing to take? I love what Roz Savage, she wrote a book, and it's called Stop Drifting and Start Rowing. And suddenly she knew where she wanted to go, but guess what? She could only get there one stroke at a time. And I'll tell you, when you're clear about where you want to go, don't think about all the strokes you got to make. Just think about the next stroke. Think about the next step. Think about one thing you could do, because I guarantee you, when you do that one thing, something new will open for you. Something will expand, something will change you. It will lead you to a new idea, to another person, another connection. It'll give you some strength. Things will begin to move and flow in your life. Courage to do things in spite of the fear. And then the second thing that sometimes can stop us in changing, that we need the courage to do, is the courage to keep working. I don't know who wrote this, but I love this. It says, opportunity is missed by most people because it comes dressed in overalls and looks like work. I don't know about you, but I would like my life to improve without doing anything. Wouldn't you? We always do that. How can I slip by with any little effort and have my life transformed and be prosperous? And it just doesn't happen. Anybody ever started out enthusiastically to some goal? You want to lose weight, you want to do this, do that, and then you found out how hard it was and you stopped. Anybody do that? And the fact is, if you want your life to get up, the reality is it takes work. It takes work. And whether it's Michael Jordan or whether it's George Bernard Shaw or Roz Savage or any one of us, if you want to succeed, you can have it, but you must be willing to do the work. To put the time, to put the energy, to put the effort in. Do you know what happened when Roz Savage did this? She put the work and effort and did the Atlantic. You know what? She was so empowered and excited, she did the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. The only woman to do all three. Why? Because when you put work in, work works on you. You become more. You become wiser, more confident, more fearless, and you open worlds to yourself that you didn't even know existed before. But you have to do the work. You have to take that step, and life will expand you. And you got to do something different, and you got to put the effort and the energy in. It's not easy, but it takes work, and work is the only way you get the results. Every one of us has the power to change our lives. We have an impulse. And it's by knowing the resources are in us, getting clear about what we want, and having the courage to move through the fear and do the work. But there is something that can support that, enhance that, to lift us to a higher level or pull us down that we're unaware of, and that is the power of accepting what is. It sounds so simple, acceptance. How can acceptance help make us happier and more successful? How? Just accepting things the way they are? It sounds like if we accept things we are, we'll have no motivation to change. It makes no sense. And yet acceptance is one of the most powerful things we can do to feel peace, to heal, and to open our lives to greater happiness and success. How powerful is acceptance? Well, listen to what it says in the book, Big Book, page 417 in the 4th edition. Here's what it says. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. I want to read that again. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I'm disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no peace until I accept the person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. And unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. This sounds profound, and sometimes we can't relate to it, but I'll guarantee you this. Every one of us has things in our lives that we have a hard time accepting. Sometimes there are things about ourselves we have a hard time accepting. Aspects of our body that we just rather reject or deny or hate. There are parts of us we wish were different, that we despise. There are parts of our history and our families that we wish never happened. There are events that have changed our lives that we wish and pray, thought they shouldn't have happened. It was wrong that they happened. It was bad they happened. I wish they never happened. And we sometimes fight against the reality, wishing things were different than they are. And we expend so much energy doing that. Things that have happened years ago, we still aren't over it. Still wishing the divorce didn't happen. Still wishing that financial investment that went south and I lost lots of money. Still angry about that. Still regretting I wish I had gone to college. Still, thinking that person shouldn't have died. All of these things, and call them fair, unfair, good, bad, or worse. The fact is they've happened. And we expend so much energy hating them, wishing them they were different. And the fact is it keeps us stuck. Let me show you a simple thing about acceptance. So let's say I'm sad. So I get sad, and then sometimes I'll get mad that I'm sad. And then I start feeling guilty that I'm mad about being sad. And then I get frustrated that I'm guilty about being mad that I'm sad. And then I get really disappointed in myself that I'm frustrated this morning. You know why acceptance is so hard? It's because we throw judgment on it. We can't just let something happen and say that happened. We have to throw judgment. It was bad. And we have to throw judgment that gets us mad and guilty and feeling resentful. And you know what acceptance is? It's just acknowledging something happened and not judging it and just letting go of the toxic energy that we hold in resisting it. We hold on and resist about things that happen. Carl Jung, what did he say? What we resist persists. If there's someone in your life and you can't stand their behavior, I guarantee you, you resisting and thinking that they should be different than they are ain't helping the situation. But you finding acceptance does two things. It brings peace to you and knowing you don't have to thrust your belief of how they should be on them, that they're exactly the way they are. And then the acceptance actually clears the energy around them and actually makes it more likely for them to find peace and behave in a way that's more positive and joyful for them and for you. So I ask you in your life, what have you had a hard time accepting? What is it about you or your life or your past that you haven't fully accepted? You know, blessed are the peacemakers, that beatitude. Or blessed are the cheesemakers, if you're a Monty Python fan. I used to think that blessed are the peacemakers are people who had a desire to make peace with families and make peace with communities and make peace among nations. But you know what it really means? Blessed are those who make peace with themselves. Because everything that happens in our lives, to us, around us, or by others, acceptance is finding peace in our hearts about what happened, about what was said, what was done, what happened, and just finding peace. Because we think sometimes if the madder I am and the more I hate my job and I hate my relationship, that'll propel me to something better. It doesn't. Hating something, disliking and resenting something is not a good springboard to a happier life. But if you can find a place of peace, of just saying, this is just how it is right now, and to let go of that energy, you not only have peace in the moment, but you regain the power of all that energy it's been holding to feel resentful, and it can actually help the situation change easier and quicker, and it makes you more powerful and peaceful while you do it. Does that make sense, everyone? These words are so true. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. So what do you need to accept? What do you need to do to help you let go of the resentment and the resistance to find peace in this moment? And are you willing to give yourself that gift of peace? I guarantee you, if nothing else changed in your life and you just found peace and acceptance in your heart, your life would automatically get better. And when you find peace and acceptance and release that energy, you'll not only find peace and power, but the work you do to change with clarity and courage and action will actually be more enhanced and more effective, because the two of them are complementary and absolutely support each other. Acceptance liberates the resistance, gives us peace and power, and the action and the creativity and the courage and the clarity moves our lives even more powerfully when we let go of that old energy. Otherwise, it will undermine us and we will not be able to move as far. I love the serenity prayer. It really wraps up what the whole message is. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And there's some other lines I like here. I won't read all of it, but the next line is living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace. The things don't go our way aren't there to just block us and destroy our day. They're actually to help open us up to a greater level of awareness and peace, and to help elevate us to a higher level of joy and a higher level of living. You know, I heard somebody once say, it takes as much energy to live a happy and successful life as it takes to live a miserable and unhappy life. Does that make sense at all? Because it does. And you know why? Life takes energy. The question is, how are you investing your energy? Are you doing it in resenting and resisting and fighting against life and withholding and living in fear and being afraid to step out and take action? Or are you using that same energy to find acceptance? That same energy to get clear? That same energy to have courage to take the action towards the things you want? Both of them take energy. The question is, how are you going to choose to use your life energy to help make your life better or to hold you back from living the life you want. Every one of us, we have the tools and resources available for us to live a better life and lift our lives to a higher level. The question is, are you willing to find balance in the paradox of fight for change and accept what is? God bless you all.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
Woo! Let's hear it for our kids. Thanks, guys. Great job. Great job. Let's all rise now and sing our song of peace.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
God bless everybody. Great day and a wonderful week.